Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is kind of going to be all over the place here, but I'm going to talk about why I would like to attempt to address the reasons why many younger people are voting socialism. Before I start the video, there's a disclaimer. This is not a left versus right video. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. I keep getting bashed about that, but I am neither Democrat nor Republican. I don't believe in the two-party paradigm, and I try to stay outside the box so I'm better focused looking into the box. Many of you don't know, but your parents and your parents' parents were very conservative, regardless of whether they were Democrat or Republican, because back in the day, Democrats were far more conservative than they are now. There was just a slight line separating Democrats and Republicans, let's say in the 70s and the 60s. There really was, compared to today. And back in those days, many people had conservative values, country-first values, patriotic values. So what's happening in society? Well, I don't think there's one answer. There's many variables, and I think it's all done by design. See, our parents and their parents are slowly dying off. They were taught a robust education that had something to do with history. Today's students, regardless if they believe it or not, are being brainwashed. They're taught to believe in a one-world society. Call it what you want. One world order. They don't know what they're being taught. They're just taught that it's the right thing to do. And slowly, our parents and their parents are dying off. I will soon die off, leaving our younger generation who is just educated on pure propaganda to take over this earth. And slowly, those youngsters are growing up, becoming to the age where they're able to vote. And there's been quite a few socialists now that have actually won elections. One in New York, I forgot her name, a 29-year-old young lady who last year was just a bartender, ran on pure socialist politics and won a 4-term governor. So why are they looking to socialists? Okay, I've talked about the education and the normalization of socialism. But I also think there's other things. These kids are taught to rely on government. They're taught not to fight. And I want to address this variable, not fighting, in school, because it's a very important one. When I was a kid in school, there was that saying when you got into a beef with somebody, at 3 o'clock. And that just meant we're going to meet at 3 o'clock and handle this with our fist. Nowadays, these kids are taught not to fight back. Call the government for help. Call the police. We're there for you. And it's not about the physical fight, but it's more about the emotional fight, what's going on here. I mean, if you cannot handle yourself in a physical form, then physically you're not going to be able to handle yourself either, because there's a lot to go into a street fight. There's the mental preparation, let's say, all day long. You were threatened at 3 o'clock, you're going to get your ass kicked. And you got to go through that mental state, that nervousness and the butterflies all day long, and at 3 o'clock you got to exit the doors, and then you got to look left and right, you know, and you got to walk, either you got to run or you got to walk to the fight. And there's that whole mental exercise of whether you have what it takes to defend yourself. And nowadays these kids are bred, not all of them, to not have that mental capacity to fight. And when I mean fight, our whole life is a fight. And if you're not prepared to overcome one challenge after another until the day you're died, you're not really able to take care of yourself. And if you're not able to take care of yourself, you look for somebody who will. The government. The government promises a utopia. But there is no such thing as a utopia unless you can find an island where plentiful foods are growing, unlimited food, and you're not being hunted by animals, and you're the only one on that island, then yes, maybe there is such a thing as utopia. But there really is no such thing as utopia. And our government, and remember I said this is not a left or right, but our government promises a utopia. They use that to sell themselves. They promise you everything you will need will be provided to you. Just vote for me and I will give you everything you need. You don't need to worry about working hard. If you can't find a job, don't worry, we'll give you welfare. Oh, the use of welfare and food stamps embarrasses you? No worries. We're going to take away that shaming. You will never be embarrassed about using government handouts again. We're going to take care of all your needs. Just vote us in. I was taught in macroeconomics. There's macro and microeconomics. I forget. It's been so long since I've been in school, but 100% of the time, socialism. See, a democracy, or our republic, which is based on the principles of democracy, everything slowly degrades, and it degrades into socialism. And then socialism will never stay either. It too degrades, just like the engine of a car. It has no choice but to degrade into communism. We were taught that every country that turns to socialism, in order to keep socialism alive, it degrades into communism. These people, these youngsters, are not being taught this in school. All they're being taught is, you got to get what's yours. Just vote in whatever you want, you know, whatever's going to give you whatever you want. And don't worry about hard work, because you don't have to, because you can rely on the government. This education is very much like the education of God. People will fight to the death, and I do mean to the death, to defend their version of what God is. These people that we're seeing in our school systems are very much like that also. They're taught to shut out all forms of debate if it does not agree with their side. Shut it out, beat it down, shout it down, kill it. But what is a debate? A debate is the battle of two or more ideas, and is judged by a group or audience to see which idea is better for them. Without debate, can there be any improvement of ideas? Without debate? No, there can't be any improvement of ideas. the regulated idea is the idea regardless of whether you like it or not, and will be mandated. Anyway, folks, there is no one answer why socialism appears to be the way of the future. There is something positive I'd like to end this video with. And it's that walk-away movement where people are turning against the hypocrisy of socialism. Look it up. I think Conservative Mexican, his YouTube channel, covered this a little bit. Anyway, I gotta run. I'm going to Best Buy. I'm not gonna buy nothing, but I like to hang out there when I'm a little bored. I like to look at the pretty little LED lights on the stereo equipment and whatnot. I'm a gadget junkie. Many people know I'm into high-end home audio equipment. Stuff that's above and beyond what Best Buy sells. I love Rotel amplifiers, and you know, B&W speakers and stuff like that. Anyway, take care. I appreciate you give me a thumbs up, and I always appreciate a comment, because your ideas are what's important to me. A lot of times your ideas are quite the opposite of mine, but I always try to leave a comment saying I appreciate your ideas, regardless of whether they're different than mine. As long as you're respectful, I appreciate your ideas that differ from mine. Take care.